Chip Kelly is raising the alarm about how college athletes get paid. The Rams like to say F them picks, and their quarterback is saying F this elbow, I can still make any throw I want. And by the way, do we still know who's going to play right tackle for the Chargers? Got to figure it out at some point. Good morning. I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is Faithful Angelenos. It's August 7, 2022. It's an absolutely glorious morning. I'm going to go out and enjoy it in a moment, but I want to start off by thanking the new subscriber who joined yesterday. If you like the content we've been putting out about LA sports, clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notifications bell. Hit that. It'll let you know when we drop new content. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. And yes, comment. It's fun to make new friends. Now, before we get to the notes and news, let's talk scoreboard. Will Smith, Max Muncy, each drive in 3 runs. The Dodgers have won 7 games in a row. They smack around the Padres, but good, 8-3. The Dodgers have a 14.5 game lead in the NL West and have the best record in baseball. Surprise. Nice trade, San Diego. By the way, we did a rapid recap last night of the Galaxy. They lost in Sporting Kansas City 4-2. Side memo, you can watch the recap, but let me just be blunt. Chris Klein, just quit. Just quit. Because you're just that favorite, quit. LAFC, Christian Arango scores twice. He has 11 goals on the year. Gareth Bale gets his second. Western Conference leading LAFC is 4 and Real Salt Lake 1. Meanwhile, today, the Dodgers are going to play the Padres again at 4 p.m. looking for the sweep in the ESPN game. Tyler Anderson 12-1, Yu Darvish 10-4, and the Sparks will play Washington at noon, but let's be real, who cares? Chip Kelly believes the NCAA lacks enforcement in terms of the NIL rules. Name, image, likeness. It's the way the college athletes get paid now. Now, to be clear, Chip Kelly said nothing about, oh, amateurism is so great, why are we paying athletes? He didn't complain about that. He's just saying that there's a distinct lack of regulation. And to be honest, across the country, it is leading to problems with other programs. We have Ohio State. Their coach basically flat out said to his boosters, I need millions to keep my roster intact. That's Ohio State. They're always in the national title picture. Rutgers and other schools are saying the same things. Now, I recognize that I have clowned SEC schools in the past for complaining about NIL. But you know what? F them. I don't care. It's about time the SEC has been broken up. I really think they all damn near need an antitrust suit to get some other schools involved for a change. I think they have unfair advantages. I think NIL helps solve them. But if you really want to know the truth, yeah, I do think at some point the NCAA needs to add some regulations. They're taking a very hands-off approach right now because they need to find out first what is working and what doesn't. I want to talk politics just for a moment to try to give you an idea of what NIL actually is to me. NIL is like cryptocurrency. Now, I'm not going to tell you to invest in crypto, but cryptocurrency addresses a problem. And the problem is political and bank manipulation in terms of the economies. You look at the Bush years and the Clinton years, way back when. There were bad laws in place about home ownership and paying off mortgages. As a result, housing bubble, when it burst, we had the Great Recession. Over the last few years, both Trump and Biden have printed out tons of money, and all of a sudden we have an inflation problem. Surprise. So I'm not trying to tell you who to vote for. I'm just basically saying that cryptocurrency is unregulated. The banks can't control it. Governments probably can't, And so what that's trying to do is look at economics in a new way. Now, at some point, though, the feds are going to create some laws regarding the regulation of crypto. Hopefully, they don't go overboard. We'll see if it holds up. NIL doing the same thing, solving the problem of slave labor, paying the athletes so that they're not getting injured and giving the colleges all these millions of dollars in free labor. They got to get compensated. So we find out what works and what doesn't and go from there. I do want to address something else that we're noticing about Chip Kelly. I have people who are UCLA fans and they send me emails on the channel and they ask about updates on UCLA's recruiting. It's about time that I think that we have to acknowledge something, because I'm looking for UCLA recruiting news every single day, and a lot of times I get nothing. It is becoming apparent that Chip Kelly simply prefers the transfer portal as opposed to actually going out and recruiting. I have no idea why. Now, I do know that one way or another, UCLA did get those wins last year, and they probably stand to have a 10-win season this year. But their current recruiting class is 71st in the nation and 10th in the conference. Is it sustainable? I have no idea. But that's the way the Bruins roll. Finally, the Bruins did get good news. Liatu Letu. I have trouble with Samoan names. Sorry if you're watching, no disrespect. He's an outside linebacker. He is coming out of medical retirement. Now, he's a versatile player. He's going to probably help the Bruins on defense, which is obviously something that they needed from last year. And I'm going to hurt my own feelings by trying that gentleman's name one more time. Liatu Letu. Hopefully I got it. Matthew Stafford said Saturday that he felt like he could make any throw. He did in fact throw for the first time in a few days over the last couple of days. He was throwing short routes, intermediate routes, deep routes. People were like, wow, he's still got it. And this is actually important for the Rams. The question has been, how are they going to manage Matthew Stafford, who has been playing with right elbow issues from last year? Rest in the offseason hasn't necessarily been the cure, but it is coming out a little bit better than hoped so far. Jalen Ramsey, by the way, for the Rams defense, practiced in pads for the first time this season during training camp. He had surgery on one of his shoulders in the offseason. And Aaron Donald conducted his post-workout interview shirtless. Why? Okay. I get it. You want to show that even though you're 31, you can still crank it with the guys in the early 20s. I understand, but it just creeps us all out a little bit, just to be real. I mean, I lift, but you don't see me pouring baby oil down my chest and talking about my body, ladies, my body. It's a little creepy. Hope you have a wonderful career. We know you're in the Hall of Fame. I just don't need pose downs with my interviews, is what I'm getting at. The Chargers offensive line coach Brendan Nugent has said thus far, neither Storm Norton or Trey Pipkins III have separated themselves in the battle to be the starting right tackle. And this is a concern. I'm not saying they both stink. I'm just saying you need some sort of stability so that the line overall can eventually gel. Now they're basically saying, well, we're hoping that one of them will actually separate themselves when the joint practices come out on August 17th and 18th, joint practices with the Dallas Cowboys. See, right now, neither one of them is making a name for himself. However, having said that, all is not lost on the right side of the offensive line. Zion Johnson, as right guard, is said he's just wowing people. He's apparently going to be dominant. By the way, though, we'll be in pads for practice tonight. Are the Dodgers grooming Justin Turner's replacement? He will be a free agent again at some point. I think it's at the end of the year, but he is in his mid to late 30s. The reason the Dodgers weren't more active in the trade market is because some of their top prospects are, in fact, third basemen. Consider Miguel Vargas, who made his debut in the major leagues last week. He's a third baseman. Edwin Rios, you remember him? He's been up to the big leagues a couple of times, but he's currently rehabbing in Oklahoma City. Both of them big-time hitters. Both of them third basemen primarily. Clayton Kershaw got an epidural injection, and if you've ever been a pregnant lady who's about to give birth, you know how wonderful those things can feel. They take away a ton of lower back pain. Now, having said that, there's no timetable on his return, but there is a belief that it will not be a substantial time away from the team. Kershaw's like, this particular pain feels like another injury he had early in his career when it didn't take him out of the game that long. So there's that. There's that sense of optimism. We have an update on USC's recruiting. Edge rusher Braylon Shelby has committed to the Trojans as part of the class of 2023. He's from Texas. He is the nation's number 15th overall edge rusher, number 133 prospect overall. Now, the Trojans have been slowly bumping up with 4-star transfers, such as Shelby. They are currently ranked 12th in terms of a recruiting class by 24/7 Sports. So, as we've been talking about, Riley's rebuilt them on the fly. They are paying attention to defense, and they're finally getting a little bit of a boost down below in the trenches. We've been talking about the depth of prospects for the Los Angeles Kings. And it's important to me because for me, when I watch hockey and I watch the NHL draft and they bring out these players that I've never heard of from all over the world, since I don't know them, my first question is always, who's the next guy up? Is this guy going to be an impact player immediately? And most of the people in the NHL draft aren't immediate impact players. And that's true definitely for the Kings. We hear about all these great prospects, and the question is, when is the next man up? Who is the next player that's going to come up to where we sit there and go, yeah, now we've got the next Kopitar, we've got the next Drew Doughty, etc. So I went to the Hockey News. Now, the Hockey News is the Bible for NHL. They still believe that the Kings are so deep in terms of prospects that to crack this lineup, even though they're not elite yet, to crack this lineup, probably somebody's going to have to get injured on the big club and somebody surprises when he comes up from the minor leagues. That's how deep the prospect pool is. But who is the next guy up? We've mentioned Alex Turcotte in the past as forward, but he keeps getting injured. I want to give you 2 other names who might surprise and make the big club out of training camp this fall. It might be Samuel Fagemo, who's another name I can't pronounce yet, but I will soon, because he scored 27 goals last year in the AHL. And the Kings, they are very deep at center. They can't start adding wingers soon enough. They know this. If Samuel Fagemo can actually perform and put the puck in the net, they're going to want that immediately. And the other one I would like to throw out there as a possibility is Jacob Moverare, who plays left-handed defense. This being important, the Kings are deep on defense, but for those of you who know where the holes on the roster are, it tends to be at winger. It tends to be at left-handed shooting defenseman. So 2 names to consider when training camp eventually does open. There were rumors, we already know about how the Galaxy last week, how they signed Ricky Puig from FC Barcelona. And I think after that game last night, I think we can all recognize he's not going to be the miracle cure for this team. There were rumors that the Galaxy wanted to go after another FC Barcelona player, but I don't want to name the guy's name, and I don't really want to go in depth about rumors for the Galaxy for 2 reasons. For 3, actually. 1, the front office is an absolute mess, and there's no way we're going to know they're going to get it right. 2, the story is coming from the international press, and the international press is extremely unreliable. And 3, the transfer window closed. So why are we talking about trades that didn't happen, right? But having said that, while the Galaxy are disappointing us all, we got a baseball game to enjoy this evening. If you enjoyed today's broadcast, don't forget to like and subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We are trying to build something for LA sports. Thanks for watching. I'm James. We'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelenos is a Kia and Corte El Queso production. Take care.